Hello and welcome to this edition of the Wards Intelligence 6-Minute Webinar. I'm Dave Zoya, Research Director. Earlier this year, we took a close look at where autonomous vehicle development stands in China. The results were published in an in-depth intelligence report called China's Autonomous Vehicle Roadmap. Here I'll present a few of those findings. When talking about AVs, it's important to be on the same page in defining the level of technology. Our report largely follows SAE definitions, but adds a level 2+ designation to indicate next generation advanced driver assistance technology that takes an incremental step toward more autonomous systems, but doesn't quite reach all the way to level 3. China is the biggest single new vehicle market in the world and ultimately will be the biggest market for autonomous technology deployment as well, although it currently trails the pace of Europe and the US and will continue to over the next few years. We believe China will move into the lead toward the end of the decade. Although more advanced level 4 autonomous vehicles are likely to make up only about 10% of total AV sales, China should be selling 10 million level 2 to 4 vehicles annually by 2030. One of the drivers for AVs in China is government policy, and although that has shifted a bit, we don't believe it will be to the detriment of AV deployment long term, particularly when looking at the complete sector from level 2 on up. In 2015, China rolled out its Made in China 2025 initiative that called for full AVs to account for 10% of industry sales by 2030. In addition, artificial intelligence was identified as a strategic industry as part of China's 5-year plan covering 2016 to 2020. Both those actions spurred development, with tech companies such as Baidu setting up offices in Silicon Valley and launching its Apollo open source AV driving platform. In 2020, China revised its policy somewhat, eliminating hard deadlines for achieving autonomy and instead using vague language that only calls for vehicles to have level 2 and level 3 features by 2025. Also pushing the market toward those level 2 and 3 technologies is China's new car assessment program testing targets that reward higher safety ratings to vehicles that have more advanced ADAS technology on board. China's NCAP targets are similar to those in Europe, which are considered pace setting in the industry. Maybe even more important than the policy push is the pull from the market itself. Chinese consumers are beginning to demand more ADAS features and the connectivity needed to move that technology forward. Suppliers report a rapidly growing interest in systems such as lane departure warning, adaptive cruise, and automatic braking from domestic Chinese automakers. German supplier Continental forecasts the ADAS market in China will grow 30 to 35% annually. The industry is somewhat split on the pace of adoption in China, but half of those we surveyed for our report agree with our timeline that level 3 adoption will begin to accelerate in the 2024 to 2026 timeframe. We see China's level 4 AV market developing similarly to the rest of the world, with more opportunity in the commercial vehicle sector. For example, China appears to be setting the pace in development and application of low-speed level 4 vehicles used in last-mile delivery of goods. Soon after the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Neolix, which operates a driverless delivery vehicle business in Beijing, reported booking orders for more than 200 vehicles in a single week, compared to the 125 sold the previous 10 months. Mobility services are popular in China, and drivers remain a huge cost factor, so level 4 ultimately could play a fairly significant role here too. RideHailing giant Didi reports 25% of its service calls go unanswered simply because drivers are not available. That means there's a huge revenue opportunity if some routes can be strategically serviced with AVs. The $10,000 to $15,000 cost for the AV technology could be easily absorbed. 60% of those polled in our survey believe robo-taxis will be in operation in China's largest cities no later than 2025. In terms of AV technology development, we believe China lags in artificial intelligence, where Silicon Valley is seen still holding a leadership position. Lack of standardization from one city to the next in terms of traffic signals and road signs and inconsistency in driving patterns also make development of level 4 AVs a bigger challenge in China. We rated 49 automakers and suppliers as to their market position on AVs. Here's how a few of those companies did. The A group tended to cover all the bases with solid product development capability, either on their own or through tie-ups, and a strong overall market position in China. Those with B grades generally trailed in technology and lacked key go-to-market partnerships. The C group companies typically don't have a broad strategy for AVs, the full technology bandwidth, or the market reach to challenge the top companies. Much more detail on this can be found in the complete report. To sum up, we see China leading in deployment long-term, but not necessarily in development near-term. Consumers have a high acceptance rate for technology, including the connectivity needed to take ADAS systems to the next stage, so application of 2+ and eventually level 3 tech should increase rapidly. Although the Chinese government has lowered its expectations somewhat, it still is promoting policy directed at leading in the AV sector. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Ward's Intelligence 6-Minute webinar. To make sure you don't miss future episodes and other Summer Festival of Automotive content, follow the link listed on this slide and in the description box below.